The Leeds Mission is what the English people would call the North. The Leeds Mission borders on Scotland at the top, and at the bottom, it's just a little bit north of Nottingham. So it's actually, I think, the biggest geographically in England. It's a pretty big area, although a lot of it is like countryside, and there's some moors and kind of places to go out and hiking and walking around. But they have some decently big cities, at least for England. Big cities are like York. I think York was the only city that I'd heard of before my mission. I don't think I really even knew where Leeds was, or that it even existed, but it does, and it's great. So there's big cities like Sheffield, Newcastle, and yeah, that's, I guess, a little bit about generally what England's like up there. The weather, I served on pretty close to the coast for a lot of my mission, on that east coast, and it can be pretty windy sometimes, actually. Actually, some days it'll be super, super windy, and actually, a couple weeks ago was the only time that it's ever been as windy as England. There's some big wind or something in Provo, but it can get really windy, it can be rainy, but really it wasn't as rainy as I thought it would be. It's always the stereotype that England is so rainy, and it rained sometimes, but it wasn't every single day. There were some days where it didn't rain. And something that's kind of funny is there was this kind of rain that the missionaries called the mist of death, because even if you had an umbrella, there's no way that you're going to avoid it. It's like kind of like a mister machine that you might have used, where it makes mist. I had those when I was playing soccer when I was a little kid, when you're tired and you just spray mist on your face, and it's kind of nice. It kind of feels like that, where it's just these really small pieces of rain, and they're kind of coming at you horizontally. So there's pretty much nothing that you can do to avoid it, but it's not that bad. You kind of get used to it, and it was pretty good. In terms of the food, there are some unique foods actually in the north. They actually, in this one zone, funnily enough, in the Billingham zone, they have this food called a parmo, which is like a big piece of chicken that's covered in breading. Is that what it's called? It's breaded chicken, and then it's fried, and then you put this special sauce on it and cheese, and then you have little sauces that you dip it in and stuff. So it's basically just a big piece of fried chicken, but it has like its own special taste to it, and it's super good. I think at least all the elders liked it. I think some of the sisters weren't. They're probably more healthier than the elders, but we liked it a lot. I ate a lot of parmos, and I definitely miss a good parmo. Something unique as well to our mission is some of the accents. I mean, we have the Yorkshire accent, which I can't really do a good imitation of the Yorkshire accent. But there's kind of different, variants of it. I mean, Sheffield has its own Yorkshire accent, and Leeds and Hull, and as well, there's even some other accents like the Teessider accent by Billingham and Middlesbrough. I served in Middlesbrough, so that was really cool. And then there's also the Geordie accent, there's a city next to it called Sunderland, and they're called the Mackhams, and they have a pretty similar accent. They don't think so, because they're kind of rivals with the Geordies, and it's kind of a funny long story. But anyways, the Geordies have a really interesting accent. I had never heard anything like it before I came to the mission. It's so interesting. Like they say "aye aye" just like a pirate, and they have this really cool accent when they talk. And I even remember one experience actually where I was at this restaurant called Nando's. It's kind of like a Portuguese chicken kind of place. I don't know how to describe it exactly, but Nando's is great. And the person that was at the counter, she had the strongest accent. And I was trying to order stuff, and she was asking me like what part of the chicken that I wanted, if I wanted a chicken breast or a chicken thigh or something like that. But I honestly could not understand her. It was such a thick accent, and that was one of the only times that I really could not understand an English person because of their accent. And so it was pretty funny. At least in retrospect, she was kind of frustrated in the moment, but I had to ask her 3 times or so to, say, well, sorry, what did you say again? And so, and it was just like a simple question, like I said, of, which part of the chicken do you want? But I could not understand her. But yeah, it was great. I love the North. Sometimes it gets a bad rap from people in the South, because the South is so refined and so cultured, but the north is great. I love it. I love the people there. They have some beautiful countryside in between the cities. I mean, they have some, big cities that kind of have that urban feel to it, but they have there's a lot of countryside surrounding it. And especially if for missionaries that serve in the villages up there, there's a lot of, smaller towns or villages that sometimes people will get to. And it's just beautiful. They have such nice countryside. It's so green, the rolling hills. It's a unique sight. And especially I love it in the spring when it's just rained and everything is so green. It's just, I don't know how to describe it other than that it's really green and it's just really beautiful. So I really miss that about England for sure.